never thought I'd be one of those people who got used as an ATM by their own family. But looking back, that's exactly what happened to me. My name is Kelly. I'm 34 years old, and until recently I was a key account manager at Sport Nutri, a sports nutrition company. I was good at my job, really good. I worked my ass off and built strong relationships with our biggest clients. My boss, Derek, the CEO, valued my work and paid me accordingly. 5 years ago, Mom called me about her medical bills. Dad's insurance wasn't covering everything for her back surgery, and they were drowning in debt. Of course I helped. They're my parents. I had the money, and they needed it. Kelly, I don't know what we'd do without you, Mom said, crying when I transferred the money, but it didn't stop there. A few months later, they needed help with their mortgage payment, then utilities, then car repairs. Just until we get back on our feet, Dad promised. I believed him. I always believed them. Then my sister Jen started asking too. First, it was just fixing her car when it broke down. Please, Kel, Mark's paycheck doesn't come until next week, and I need to get the kids to school, she begged. Then it was paying for Tyler's hockey club, then helping with their rent. You have no idea how much this means, Jen would say. You're literally saving us. I felt good about it, you know? I was making 6 figures, had money in the bank, and could help the people I loved. When I went on vacation, I'd take Mom and Dad, or Jen and her family. Sometimes I'd foot the bill for all of us to go somewhere nice together. Those vacations were some of my happiest memories. Last Christmas, we all went to Florida. I paid for the whole thing, flights, beach house, even a fancy dinner on Christmas Eve. Mom raised her glass and said to Kelly, the most generous daughter anyone could ask for. Everyone clinked glasses. I felt so loved. What a joke that was. A month ago, everything changed. I was at work when Derek called me into his office. His face was grim. Kelly, I need to tell you something before you hear it from someone else, he said. My father is removing me as CEO. He's putting my younger brother Jason in charge. My stomach dropped. Derek was the reason I thrived at Sport Nutri. We worked well together. What does this mean for me? I asked. I don't know, he said honestly, but Jason has never liked how much I pay you. 2 days later, there was a shareholders meeting. Derek was out. Jason was in. And the very next day, I got called into the new CEO's office. Kelly, I'll be direct, Jason said, not even offering me a seat. I'm bringing in my own team. You're terminated, effective 2 weeks from today. I kept my composure, thanked him for the notice, and walked out. I wasn't worried about money immediately. I had enough savings to last a year without work. But I knew one thing. I couldn't keep supporting my family the way I had been. After I got my severance package, I drove straight to my parents' house. It was a Wednesday evening. I knew Jen and her family would be there for their weekly dinner. I didn't call ahead. I wanted to see their genuine reaction. When I walked in, they all looked up from the table in surprise. Kelly, what are you doing here? Mom asked. Shouldn't you be at work? I took a deep breath and sat down at the empty chair. I got fired. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom and Dad exchanged glances with Jen and Mark. Nobody said anything for what felt like forever. Finally, Mom spoke. Oh, Kelly, that's terrible news. We were counting on your help with the property taxes next month. I'm sorry, not are you okay. Just what they were counting on me for. I won't be able to help anymore, I said. Not like before. I need to be careful with my money until I find a new job. Jen's face darkened. What about Tyler's hockey? And the car needs new brakes. You said you'd pay for those. I stared at her, stunned by her tone. Jen, I just lost my job. I can't. This is so inconsiderate, she snapped, standing up. We've been planning our budget with your help in mind. Now, what are we supposed to do? Mark started gathering the kids. Jen grabbed her purse. They left without saying goodbye. I turned to my parents, hoping for some support or understanding. But Mom just rubbed her temples. "I have a headache," she announced, and left the room. Dad stayed at the table, studying his plate. "How long until you find another good job?" he asked without looking at me. "I don't know, maybe 6 months? It's hard to find something at the same level." He pushed his chair back and stood up. "Your mother and I need to talk. Let yourself out." And he left me sitting alone at the table. I sat there for 5 minutes, stunned by what had just happened. Then I drove home in silence, trying to process that my family cared more about my wallet than my well-being. 3 weeks passed since that awful dinner. I cut off all the automatic transfers to my parents' and Jen's accounts and sent them all a simple text. "Due to my current financial situation, I can no longer provide financial support. I wish you all the best." Cold, maybe, but I was still hurt. Nobody responded, not one of them. Before losing my job, my phone would buzz constantly with calls and texts from them. Mom checking if I could help with the electric bill that was higher than expected. Dad asking if I'd mind covering the cost of his golf club membership renewal. Jen sending links to things she wanted for the kids with messages like, "Tyler would love this for his birthday if his awesome aunt wanted to spoil him." There was radio silence now. I tried to look on the bright side. For the first time in years, I had nothing but free time. No stressful client meetings or late-night email chains. No family drama or financial requests to juggle. Just me, figuring out what I wanted. I created a budget spreadsheet, calculating how long my savings would last. Without supporting 3 additional households, my money could stretch much further than I thought. I could actually take some time to breathe before diving into another high-stress job. My apartment felt quiet. Too quiet sometimes. I was used to being needed, to my phone constantly demanding attention. But I forced myself to enjoy the peace. This is what normal people feel like, I told myself as I sipped coffee on my balcony one morning, watching the sunrise. This is what it's like when you're not everybody's solution to everything. As the days passed, I started to wonder if anyone would reach out just to check on me. They didn't. Thanksgiving was approaching, and I realized I hadn't heard a word about plans. For the past 5 years, I'd hosted at my place, or brought most of the food to my parents' house. Last year, I'd spent over $300 on groceries, and cooked for 2 days straight, while everyone else helped by drinking wine and getting in my way. A week before the holiday, I finally broke down and called Mom. She didn't answer the first time, or the second, or the third or fourth. On the 5th try, she picked up with an annoyed, "What, Kelly?" "Hi, Mom," I said, trying to sound cheerful. "I was just wondering about Thanksgiving plans. Should I make my usual cranberry sauce and sweet potato casserole?" There was a long pause. "We've decided to do things differently this year," she said, her voice flat and cold. "Your father, Jen, and I discussed it. We think it's best if you don't join us this year." My heart stopped. "Why?" "Kelly." She sighed like I was a dense child. "We don't need losers at our holiday table. People without jobs or anything to contribute." The word losers hit me like a slap, my own mother. "So when I was paying for everything, you were happy to have me around," I said, my voice shaking. "But now that I can't bankroll everyone, I'm not welcome anymore?" She didn't even try to deny it. "You won't be welcome at our house. Don't come." Then she hung up. I sat on my couch, phone in hand, completely stunned. Tears rolled down my face as the reality hit me. They had never loved me. They had loved what I could do for them. All those smiles, those thank you hugs, those toasts to my generosity. It was all fake, a performance to keep the money flowing. I cried until my eyes burned and my throat hurt. Then I got angry, really angry. "Screw them," I said out loud to my empty apartment. "Screw all of them." I grabbed my laptop and did something I hadn't done in years. I booked a vacation just for me. Not for my parents, not for Jen and her family, just for me. Mexico, 5-star resort, beachfront suite, the works. It cost a fortune, but I didn't care. I'd spent the last 5 years funding everyone else's happiness while putting my own on hold. Not anymore. As I confirmed the booking, my phone rang. I almost ignored it, assuming it was Mom or Jen calling to berate me further. But it was Derek, my old boss. "Kelly," he said when I answered. "How are you holding up?" "Been better," I admitted. "Your brother's quite the charmer." Derek laughed. "Yeah, he's always been a joy. Listen, I'm calling because I've got news. I've started my own company, Sportmax Nutrition, direct competitor to my father's business." "Good for you," I said, genuinely happy for him. Derek was smart and fair. He deserved success. "I want you to join me," he continued as CEO. I almost dropped my phone. "CEO?" "Derek, that's exactly what you deserve," he cut in. "You know this industry inside and out. The clients trust you, and I trust you completely. Say yes." My mind raced. CEO. A higher salary than I'd ever had. Actual authority to make decisions. "When do you need me to start?" I asked. "As soon as possible, but—" "I'm going to Mexico for Thanksgiving week," I interrupted. "I need this vacation. I'll start when I get back." Derek laughed. "Perfect. Take the time. You deserve it. We'll celebrate your new position when you return." After we hung up, I couldn't stop smiling. From fired to CEO in less than a month. Life was funny sometimes. Thanksgiving Day arrived, and I boarded my flight to Cancun. As the plane took off, I felt lighter than I had in years. No family drama, no cooking for ungrateful people. Just me, the beach, and a fresh start waiting when I returned. I checked into my hotel, changed into a sundress, and ordered champagne. When it arrived, I took a selfie with the bottle, the ocean visible through the window behind me. I posted it to Instagram with the caption, "Celebrating my new position as CEO of Sportmax Nutrition." I knew Jen followed my Instagram. I knew she'd see it. I knew they'd all find out. I took a sip of champagne and smiled. Let the calls begin. It took exactly 2 hours after posting that Instagram photo for my phone to start blowing up. I was lying on the beach, soaking up the sun, and enjoying my first real moment of peace in years, when my phone started vibrating like crazy. First came a sweet text from Jen. "Happy Thanksgiving. Sis. Hope you're having a great time. Miss you tons." The same sister who'd practically spat in my face when I told her I couldn't pay for her kids' hockey anymore. The same sister who'd agreed I shouldn't come to Thanksgiving because I was a loser. I ignored it. Then came calls. Mom, Dad, Jen, Mom again, Mark, which was weird because Mark never called me, Mom again. After about 10 missed calls, I finally picked up when Mom called, for what must have been the 5th time. "Kelly, sweetie." Her voice was syrupy sweet. "We've been trying to reach you." "I noticed," I said flatly, watching the waves roll in. "We were just talking about how much we miss you," she continued. "When you get back from your trip, you should come over for dinner. We'd love to see you." I sat up on my beach chair. "That's interesting, Mom. A week ago, you told me I wasn't welcome in your house because I'm a loser without a job." "Oh, honey, you misunderstood," she said quickly. "We were just upset. You know how your father gets. We didn't mean any of that." "I understood. Perfectly," I replied. "What's changed? Could it be that I'm suddenly employable again? Or more specifically, that I'm suddenly a CEO with a big salary again?" There was a pause, and then I heard rustling as someone grabbed the phone from my mother. "Kelly, it's Jen." My sister's voice came through, equally sweet. "Don't listen to Mom. She's terrible at apologizing. Look, we all overreacted. We're family, and families fight sometimes, right? But we're so happy about your new job. Congratulations." I laughed out loud, causing a couple nearby to glance over at me. "Thanks, Jen. I'm curious, though. What exactly are you happy about? That I got a great job? Or that you think the money train is about to start running again? Kelly, that's not fair, she said, but her voice wavered. I mean, we are hoping you'll be in a position to help us out again. The apartment needs some urgent repairs, and Mark has a dental issue that insurance won't fully cover. And there it was, the truth. Let me be very clear, I said, my voice level and calm. I will never, and I mean never, give any of you another cent. Not for repairs, not for dental work, not for mortgages or hockey clubs or vacations or anything else. That part of our relationship is over. I heard gasps and then shouting as the phone seemed to be passed around. Dad was yelling about ingratitude. Mom was crying about how they'd raised such a selfish daughter. Jen was screaming that her kids would suffer because of me. I ended the call and turned off my phone. Then I ordered a margarita from the beach bar and went for a swim in the crystal clear water. For the rest of my vacation, I kept my phone off. I got massages at the resort spa. I went snorkeling and saw colorful fish darting between coral reefs. I ate incredible food and drank top-shelf tequila. I read books by the pool and took long walks on the beach at sunset. It was the best week of my life. On my last day, I finally turned my phone back on. There were 47 missed calls and 31 text messages. Most were from my family, with a few from Derek checking in about work stuff. I opened one text from my mother. Kelly, please call us back. We need your help. Dad's blood pressure is up because of the stress of not being able to pay bills. Then one from Jen. The landlord is threatening to evict us if we're late on rent. Again, please, Kel. We need you. And another, Mark's tooth is getting worse. The kids keep asking why Aunt Kelly doesn't love them anymore. I scrolled through message after message, each one more desperate than the last. Each one mentioning money, bills, or financial problems. Not a single one asking how I was doing or if I was enjoying my trip. I didn't respond to any of them. I packed my bags, checked out of the resort, and flew home. The Monday after Thanksgiving, I walked into Sportmax Nutrition for my first day as CEO. Derek met me in the lobby with a big smile and a hug. Ready to change the industry? He asked. More than ready, I replied. He gave me a tour of the office, smaller than Sport Nutri's but modern and bright, and introduced me to the team he'd assembled. Many were former colleagues who'd also been let go when Jason took over. They greeted me with genuine warmth and excitement. My office had floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the city skyline. On my desk was a nameplate, Kelly Mitchell, Chief Executive Officer. A bottle of champagne sat in an ice bucket with a note from Derek to New Beginnings. I got to work immediately. We had to move fast to compete with Sport Nutri, and I knew exactly which clients to contact first. By the end of the day, I'd scheduled meetings with 3 major accounts that I knew were unhappy with Jason's leadership. For the next several weeks, I threw myself into building the company. I worked long hours, but for the first time in my career, I was working for myself, for my future, not to support everyone else. It felt amazing. I changed my number and email address to avoid my family's constant messages. I thought I'd finally have some peace. But one evening, about a month after I started at Sportmax, I was returning home after a long day. As I pulled into my driveway and got out of my car, I noticed 3 figures standing by my entrance: Mom, Dad, Jen. My stomach dropped. I considered getting back in my car and driving away, but they'd already spotted me. Kelly, Mom stepped forward, finally. We'd been trying to reach you for weeks. I know, I said, keeping my distance. I didn't want to be reached. This has gone far enough, Dad said sternly, like he was scolding a teenager. You're being childish and selfish. Jen nodded. We're family, Kelly. Family helps each other. I looked at their faces. These people who had said they didn't want a loser at their Thanksgiving table, who only contacted me again when they thought I had money. who had never once in all these weeks asked how I was doing. "No," I said firmly. "This ends. Now. I don't want to see any of you or hear from any of you again. If you come to my home again, I'll call the police." Mom's face crumpled, and she started to cry. "How can you say that to your own mother? After everything we've done for you?" Jen joined in, tears streaming down her face. "You're abandoning us." "How? Are we supposed to manage without you?" "The same way I managed without your support when I lost my job," I replied coldly. "Figure it out." I walked past them, went inside my house, and locked the door. Through the window, I could see them standing in the driveway, watching me. 6 months have passed since I stood on my doorstep and cut my family out of my life for good. 6 months of peace. 6 months of building something for myself. SportMax is thriving. We've already captured 15% of the market share that SportNutri once dominated. Turns out clients prefer working with people who actually care about their needs rather than a CEO who got his position through nepotism. Derek and I make a good team. He handles the big picture vision and investor relations, while I run the day-to-day operations and maintain client relationships. Our staff has grown from 12 to 38, and we just leased a second floor in our office building. Last week we got word that Jason, Derek's brother, was fired by their father. Apparently, the company has been bleeding clients and money since he took over. I'd feel bad if he hadn't been such an asshole when he fired me. "You dodged a bullet," Derek told me over lunch. "The company's a mess now." "I didn't dodge a bullet," I replied. "I caught one and built something better." He raised his glass to that. "My cousin Emma called me last month. We were never particularly close, but she heard through the family grapevine what happened with my parents and Jen. I always thought they took advantage of you," she said. "The way they'd brag about the vacations you paid for, the bills you covered. It never sat right with me." From Emma, I learned that my parents are struggling with their mortgage. Dad had to come out of semi-retirement to work full-time again. Jen and Mark had to downsize to a smaller apartment, and Tyler had to quit the hockey club. They all blame me, of course. According to Emma, they tell everyone who'll listen that I abandoned them, that I turned my back on family when they needed me most. They conveniently leave out the part where they called me a loser and uninvited me from Thanksgiving when I lost my job. I appreciate Emma reaching out, but honestly, I don't care what they're saying anymore. I don't care if they're struggling. I don't care if they hate me. I'm free. For the first time in my adult life, every dollar I earn is mine. Every decision I make is for me. Every vacation I take is because I want to go there, not because I'm paying for everyone else to have a good time. Last month, I took a weekend trip to a spa resort upstate. Just me, a stack of books, and absolute tranquility. I got a deep tissue massage and spent hours in the sauna, letting the stress melt away. I slept for 10 hours straight and woke up feeling more rested than I had in years. No one called me asking for money. No one texted with an emergency that required my financial intervention. No one made me feel guilty for enjoying myself. I bought a new car, too. Nothing flashy. Just a reliable SUV that I've always wanted. I didn't have to consider whether buying it would mean I couldn't help Mom with her medical bills or Jen with her rent. I just bought it because I wanted it, and I could afford it. My new place is smaller than my old apartment, but in a better neighborhood. It has a little garden where I've started growing herbs and flowers. On Sunday mornings, I sit out there with a cup of coffee and just breathe. The silence is healing. Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty. They're my family, after all. But then I remember how quickly their love evaporated when I couldn't financially support them anymore. I remember my mother's cold voice saying they didn't need losers at their Thanksgiving table. I remember how not one of them asked if I was okay when I lost my job. That wasn't love. That was exploitation. Last week, I got a letter from Jen. Actual snail mail, since I blocked them everywhere else. I recognized her handwriting on the envelope and almost threw it away unopened. But curiosity got the better of me. It was 8 pages of guilt-tripping. How Tyler had to quit hockey and cried for days. How her younger son needed braces they couldn't afford. How they were behind on rent again. How Mark was working double shifts. How Mom's health was deteriorating from the stress. At the end, she wrote, "We're family, Kelly, no matter what. Families forgive. Families help each other. Please find it in your heart to help us again." Not once in those 8 pages did she apologize for how they treated me. Not once did she acknowledge that they only reached out when they thought I had money again. Not once did she express any genuine interest in my life or well-being. I tore the letter into tiny pieces and tossed it in the recycling bin. My therapist, yes, I finally started seeing one, says I'm not responsible for my family's financial decisions. She says they're adults who made choices and now have to live with the consequences, just like everyone else. She says my only responsibility is to myself and my own healing. She's right. I know she's right. But sometimes, in the quiet moments, I still feel the ghost of that obligation. That sense that I should be doing more, giving more, sacrificing more. It's fading with time, but it's still there. Yesterday, I ran into Mark's sister at the grocery store. She gave me a cold look and turned her cart around to avoid me. I guess they'd told their extended family their version of events. Poor them, abandoned by selfish, heartless me. Let them think what they want. The people who matter know the truth. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd never lost that job at Sport Nutri. Would I have continued supporting them indefinitely? Would I have ever seen them for who they really were? Would I have spent my entire life being their personal ATM? I don't know. But in a strange way, getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. It showed me the truth. It forced me to break free. It led me to where I am now, successful, independent, and finally living for myself. They say blood is thicker than water, but sometimes blood can drown you if you let it. I chose not to drown. I chose myself, and I've never been happier.